Number 10 is none other than Robert Baratheon. Now, I know what you're thinking. He was only on the show for one season, and one season only, but why he's so high on my list? One, from what I've seen in the show and from the books, I love his character. Basically, he was technically a noble knight. He liked to sleep with whores and all that stuff, but he was more noble than we've seen him in the show. He was before that. And the thing is, though, what killed him was the loss of his true beloved, Eddard Stark's sister. And when he lost her, his vengeance was all he had. His anger was all he had. The drinking of whoring was all he had. And even when he had the kingdom, the crown on his head, like he says in the show, he can't even see her face. He can't even remember her face. And he basically, that a hole head was placed in his heart that day, and not 7 kingdoms or the crown could ever replace it. And that's the sad story of Robert Baratheon. The love of his life took away his life in a way, and I find him a great tragic story, somewhat Shakespeare-like. And I love his drill battle and all that stuff, so he's number 10 on the list. So yeah, number 10 is none other than Robert Baratheon. Number 9, Ser Jorah Mormont. Yes, Ser Jorah Mormont to me is a great character. One, he's totally loyal to Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen. And here's the thing. Spoiler for a future ahead. Daenerys Targaryen or any Targaryen is not on my top 20 list. I am sorry. No. One, I'll explain to you later on in another reviews of Game of Thrones discussion of the Woman of Westeros. And basically, what I have to find is this. That what Ser Jorah Mormont does for this entire show is basically, he does everything for Daenerys Stormborn. He's loyal to her. He'll kill for her. He saves her from the sorcery, and he's totally devout to her. He's willing to protect her. And the second one, and the second season in Karth, he basically protects her. He's technically, we know he's falling in love with her, or is in love with her. And he's willing to do anything, and he's trying to make her see the right decisions and trying to give her advice. And he sees her for what she truly is. He makes her a better character each time he's on there. And in the third season, he's basically helping her do helping as much as he can. He's trying to make her sure that what she does will have the right progression and anything in life. Now, some people don't like him. Now, some people I know don't like Ser Jorah Mormont, but I think he's a great character. I think he does all the stuff for Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen. He does 10 times more stuff for her than anybody else. I'm not saying he should. I'm not saying they should get together. But when I read in the books what happens between them, you all know why I'm choosing his side in this thing. I don't even care for the little detail of why that was a problem. Doesn't matter. He's utterly loyal to her. And he's a kick-ass character, and the actor that plays him in Game of Thrones is amazing. Number 8 is Stannis Baratheon. Stannis Baratheon is my favorite of the Game of Thrones Baratheon family, and and if anything, of all other characters, I believe he's the true king. Now, I know a lot of people don't like him in the show, but I know a lot of people like him in the books, because in the books they explain what he has done for the kingdom. In the show, they don't show it. They just do a discussion. I know a lot of people don't usually listen to discussions about what Stannis says. So, what Stannis did, basically during the War of the Targaryens, he holded Dragonstone, that big island over there, with only 500 men surrounded. They nearly starved. They nearly dropped everything. And he held it because his brother said to. He held it for so long that they were eating rats, the dogs, and everything else. And he thought his wife was going to die. He did not even bend. He stood his ground no matter what. Also, he was torn between loyalty of king and between king and his brother. Side with the king, his oath, or his brother, older brother. And it was a hard decision to make, so he chose his brother. His brother, after that siege went done, and after Davos gave him onions and all that stuff, he survived. And as a reward, King Robert gave their family castle to the youngest brother, who did nothing in the fight, Lord Renly. and Stannis did everything, and he only got Dragonstone. It was a total mixture of betrayal, and a lot of people don't see that he was disregarded and he wasn't brought on. He wasn't justified. It was a total bad thing that happened to him, and I'm sorry if I said bad thing for terrible dialogue right there. But still, Stannis deserves so much, and when he can't get a son, he has one daughter who's kind of scarred in a way. And the thing is, though, when the Seven Kings, when Robert dies, and when Renly takes the sword against them, so many others, he feels betrayed by the entire kingdoms. He was honored. He honored his role for King Robert. Why can't they honor his role as him, the natural king? They don't want him for him the king, but I believe Westeros needs him for what he needs to survive this kingdom. But for what they did to Stannis in the books, I totally support Stannis Baratheon. I think he's the best candidate for the kingdom in some ways. And, you know, he is technically Lord of Light right now and all that stuff. And he's mixtures confused, but he still retains that honor. And you know who he is, and you know who he is. And a lot of people don't like him, but I think he's a... Sorry, I'm going to wrap this up as much as possible. Number 7, Eddard Stark. Yeah, Eddard Stark is definitely number 2 on... not 2. It's definitely number 7 on the list. Because Sean Penn made a great role in the first movie. Or Sean Bean, as you call him. And in the Game of Thrones book, Eddard Stark is basically a noble character. He knows who he is. He's very, very noble. He ain't gonna do reckless things. He ain't gonna put the realm in jeopardy. His honor is to the king. His honor is to the realm. His honor to his family and everything. The only problem he had with... The only 2 things that I have a problem with him... Well, not really a problem with him. That the only 2 things he's really done bad was because, basically, his loyalty what killed him. Loyalty to Robert, his loyalty to the realm what killed him. His honesty what killed him. He was too noble for the Game of Thrones. And because of that, Joffrey chopped off his head. He still left a memorable impression. He was such an amazing character. It was sad to see him go, but I think it brought the show what it needed for other characters to grow up, like Jon Snow, Arya, Robb Stark, the family. They got more higher up, and it really brought out more of every single character in this show. And he's really was the first step, his death actually. So yeah, number 7, Eddard Stark. Number 6. Number 6, Lord Peter Baelish or Lord Littlefinger. This character I love because he knows exactly what he wants. He's the ultimate manipulator, the ultimate puppet master. He came from nothing. He grew up to the Tullys, to the Small Council, to the Lord of Harrenhal, to more, something much more in the near future if you read the books. And also, he has a mockingbird for a sigil on his flag. He's a mockingbird. He knows the game. He knows the players. He moves them. He knows every single thing before you do it. And in some way, he's a master manipulator. That's the end of the discussion. Number 6, Deadly Lord Littlefinger. I know a lot of people hate him for what he did to Stark. In some ways, Eddard Stark was being too noble with his decision, and he didn't want to play this game. And because of that, he got beheaded, and Lord Peter decided, I ain't going to stay on the losing side, so there you go. So that's number 6, Lord Peter Baelish. Alright, now is the top 5. Everybody, top 5 Game of Thrones characters, and number 5 is none other than Jaime Lannister. Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer. Now, if you read the books and if you read the show, you know, I'm going to explain you why. 1, he's the most experienced strategy for the Lannisters. Basically, a young knight, basically wants to stand up, basically took his vows, tries to serve the king, but the king is mad. Mad King Aerys Targaryen. And the thing is, though, he slew the Mad King. Sorry for spoiler alerts, but you should know it if you read the books and you read seen the show, why he did it. Mad Targaryen wanted to burn the entire King's Landing down when it was about to be attacked. He wanted to burn everything down, burn the children, kill your father. He did all that. He was going to break so many vows just by doing that. He's going to hurt the helpless. He's not going to defend the weak. He's going to kill the weak. He's going to kill his own father. That's a sin already. So he killed the Mad King Targaryen, and what did it get him in life? Ned Stark looked down on him. Everyone called him Kingslayer. He was dishonored. He was everything else. And he preferred not to tell the people the truth. For one reason, he didn't care what people think. But in a way, he became that thing that they all looked at. A Kingslayer, an oathbreaker. In reality, he had more nobility and honor when he was younger. And he slowly became into this person he was perceived as by the realm. And he slowly became that character. And he slowly turned progressive. And his love for Cersei is disturbing, yes, but probably the only noble thing he's ever done, because he's never slept with no other woman. Sickening as it is, that's the only noble thing he's really done. And since he lost his hand, he nearly lost everything, his will to fight, because he loves to fight, and thought he was nothing. And he's trying to bring back, and now he's back in season 3 at the end with Cersei, and season 4. And if I know in the books, I like his character, how he progresses in season 4 in Game of Thrones. Well, in the books, at least. And I love it. And I love him as a character. He's a great character. So, yeah, number 5 is definitely never than Jaime Lannister. Robb Stark. Now, I like Robb Stark. I love Robb Stark in the books. I love him on the show. I know a lot of people don't appreciate him in the show, which I think is false. One, Game of Thrones, the producers have a very low budget and they have so many actors, so they ain't gonna see a lot of battles. But in every single in the books, Robb Stark won every single battle he won. He just lost a war, and he won every single battle. In the if they show it on a TV show, him actually fighting and all that stuff, people would definitely support him more, and they would be more saddened by his death. The only reason why he tried to portray too much his father in a way. He's trying to be too noble, but he tried to be too hard. He made the wrong moves at the wrong time, and also, most of his men were betrayals anyway. Roose Bolton, the Kettle Starks, and all that stuff with revenge. I know a lot of people complain that he used bad tactics, and he did. He did use bad tactics, but the problem is, the good thing about Robb Stark is, you knew who he was. You wanted him to win. You always wanted him to win. Not just he was part of Eddard Stark's family, because he was on the right side. He knew what he was doing. He didn't want to be a king of the Iron Throne. He just wanted to get revenge and justice for his family. There's nothing wrong. You can ask for that. And what happened to him was a great shame. And he was such a great character. I wish that I had seen more, and they did more of that. They read more in the books about him instead of his mother so much. And in the show, they focus more on him in the third season and somewhat what happens with Cersei sometimes. But still, I believe Robb Stark was such a great character. So yeah, Robb Stark is definitely number 4 on the list. Lannister, the Imp. Tyrion is basically, he was born a dwarf. He was born an imp. He was born as everyone hated him in his family, except for a couple, maybe cousins, and Jaime, his older brother. Because when he was born, his mother, who gave birth to him, died. So the entire family hated him. He's always been disregarded as a low one. And throughout every single book, he shines through. You enjoy his character. You want him to win. You want him to win it against the king. You want him to win against Joffrey, Cersei, Tywin. You want him to see that, yeah, he deserves the respect he does. We don't want to see this falling behind that happens to him. In the books, we start to love his character even more and more. He what makes Game of Thrones great. And he's one of the reasons why Lannisters, why people pick the Lannisters if they vote, which house do I want to be in? Oh, I'll be in Lannisters because I want Tyrion on my side. He's a great character. He loves women. He enjoys who he is. That's who he is. So yeah, Tyrion. Number 2 is none other than Arya Stark. Arya Stark is such a great character. For one, she's the one that progresses the most in the entire show, in my opinion. Arya basically went from, she wants to basically be a knight. She wants to be anything that was not a woman objectified to be in Westeros. She tries to be the better person. When her father gets killed, she's trying to get revenge. She's trying to survive, trying to learn the ways of the land. She tries to know the entire, basically, the world of how it acts. Basically, she becomes such a interesting character. How she wants to survive and how the people she meets, how she interacts with the people is just amazing. So yeah, number 2 is definitely Arya Stark. She progressed so much as a character as we last saw her in season 3. That she killed a guy, but it's the first of many. She will get her revenge, and we're all interested to see how Arya Stark is gonna do. So yeah, number 2 is definitely Arya Stark for Game of Thrones. And number 1, sorry then. And number 1, sorry then, Jon Snow. Jon Snow is such a great character. One, he's the bastard of Winterfell, but he's basically changes so much throughout the entire show. He's basically was rejected throughout his entire life because he was a bastard. Well, not rejected by all his family, only like basically to Sansa because she needed support of her mother and she didn't want to go against her mother, but she never called him something like that. Catelyn downright hates Jon Snow for a thing he's not even responsible for, just like Tyrion Lannister and all that. Jon Snow's close with his family, most interesting, most Arya Stark and Robb Stark. And throughout this entire time, he wants to go to the Wall because they will not judge him. And when he goes there, you realize that everything that this place was stood for, the Wall, that the Night's Watch was so honorable, but it really wasn't. And he's learned to mix along with these people, learn to mix along with the wildlings when he joins the wildlings, and what's really the difference between the wildlings and the people, the knights, who he is, who his vows are. He changes so much throughout the book. He shows so much leadership throughout the book that you're going to love him even more every single day. He's going to make the hard decisions. He's in a leadership role, and he will change you, and he's a perfect example of what this show is. A lot of people don't think, well, not a lot of people, but I believe the writers, I believe the author who wrote this book said that Jon Snow is an important character, but he's not the important character. To me, he is the most important character in Game of Thrones. So yeah, number 1 is then Jon Snow for my top 20 Game of Thrones characters. So yeah, definitely check out Jon Snow. Number 1 is definitely Jon Snow, for sure. Alright everyone, this is the JJ Movie TV Show / Game Reviews. Let me know what you all think, everyone. Leave a comment if you wish. Let me know your top 20 if you want to know more about why I didn't like Daenerys Targaryen or certain other characters on my list. Let me know, post a comment, I'll explain to you. Or you could go look on my other video of Game of Thrones discussion, The Women of Westeros. Alright,